The Battle of the Alamo, February 23, March 6, 1836, was a pivotal event in the Texas Revolution. Following a 13-day siege, Mexican troops under President General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna reclaimed the Alamo mission, killing most of the occupants. Santa Anna's refusal to take prisoners during the battle inspired many Texians and Tejanos to join the Texas Army, motivated by a desire for revenge, as well as their written desire to preserve a border open to immigration and the importation and practice of slavery. The Texians defeated the Mexican army at the Battle of San Jacinto on April 21, 1836. About 100 Texians were then garrisoned at the Alamo. The Texian force grew slightly with the arrival of reinforcements led by eventual Alamo co-commanders James Bowie and William B. Travis. On February 23, approximately 1,500 Mexicans marched into San Antonio de Bixar as the first step in a campaign to retake Texas. For the next 10 days, the two armies engaged in several skirmishes with minimal casualties. The Texian garrison was woefully undermanned and under-provisioned, with fewer than 100 soldiers remaining by January 6, 1836. Colonel James C. Neal, the acting Alamo commander, wrote to the provisional government, "If there has ever been a dollar here, I have no knowledge of it." Neal requested additional troops and supplies, stressing that the garrison was likely to be unable to withstand a siege lasting longer than 4 days. The Texian government was in turmoil and unable to provide much assistance. Few reinforcements were authorized. Cavalry officer William B. Travis arrived in Bixar with 30 men on February 3rd. 5 days later, a small group of volunteers arrived, including the famous frontiersman and former U.S. Congressman David Crockett of Tennessee. The Texians would be reinforced by fewer than 100 men. Due to the United States having a treaty with Mexico, it was felt that supplying troops and weapons would have been an overt act of war against Mexico. In the early morning hours of March 6th, the Mexican army advanced on the Alamo. After repelling 2 attacks, the Texians were unable to fend off a third attack. As Mexican soldiers scaled the walls, most of the Texian fighters withdrew into interior buildings. Those who were unable to reach these points were slain by the Mexican cavalry as they attempted to escape. Between 5 and 7 Texians may have surrendered, though they would have been quickly executed. The last Texian group to remain in the open were Crockett and his men, defending the low wall in front of the church. Unable to reload, they used their rifles as clubs and fought with knives. After a volley of fire and a wave of Mexican bayonets, the few remaining Texians in this group fell back towards the church. The Mexican army now controlled all of the outer walls and the interior of the Alamo compound except for the church and rooms along the east and west walls. Mexican soldiers turned their attention to a Texian flag waving from the roof of one building. 4 Mexicans were killed before the flag of Mexico was raised in that location. The last of the Texians to die were the 11 men manning the 2 12-pounder cannons in the chapel. A shot from the 18-pounder cannon destroyed the barricades at the front of the church, and Mexican soldiers entered the building after firing an initial musket volley. Several non-combatants were sent to Gonzales to spread word of the Texian defeat. The news sparked both a strong rush to join the Texian army and a panic, known as the Runaway Scrape, in which the Texian army, mostly settlers, and the government of the new, self-proclaimed but officially unrecognized Republic of Texas fled eastward toward the U.S., ahead of the advancing Mexican army. The Texas legislature purchased the land and buildings in the early part of the 20th century and designated the Alamo Chapel as an official Texas state shrine.